Your palms are sweating, your arms start to tingle, and your heart is beating faster than ever. You're about to walk into a job interview or give a presentation or talk to someone you're attracted to, and your brain is screaming, "Danger, run away, don't do this." What if I told you that exact feeling, that physical sensation in your body right now, is identical to excitement? And with a 30-second technique backed by neuroscience, you can literally rewire how your brain interprets it. I know that sounds too good to be true, but stick with me, because in this video, I'm breaking down the science of why fear and excitement are the exact same physiological state in your body, the exact 3-step method to flip between them in real time, and most importantly, when this technique works, when it doesn't, and what to do instead. Because I'm not here to sell you magic. I'm here to give you a tool that actually works when you use it correctly. The mind-blowing truth about fear. Let me start by saying something that might surprise you. Fear is not all in your head. Fear is incredibly painfully real. It's a physical state in your body that affects every system from your heart to your lungs to your digestive tract. But here's what's absolutely wild and what most people don't know. Fear and excitement are the exact same physiological state. Your body literally cannot tell the difference between the two. When you're afraid, or when you're excited, here's what happens in your body. Your heart rate increases to pump more blood to your muscles. Your breathing quickens to get more oxygen. You start sweating for temperature regulation. Your pupils dilate for better vision. Your body releases cortisol and adrenaline for an energy surge. Your stomach tightens because blood is being redirected to your muscles. This is called a high arousal state, and it's your body's way of preparing for action. Now here's the kicker. The only difference, and I mean the only difference between fear and excitement, is the story your brain is telling about these physical sensations. When you're excited, your brain says, "This is amazing. I'm about to do something awesome. This is going to be great." When you're afraid, your brain says, "This is dangerous. Something bad is about to happen. I need to get out of here." Same body, different story. And if the physical state is identical, that means we can change the label. We can literally hack our own nervous system by changing the interpretation. This isn't positive thinking where you pretend everything's fine. This isn't fake it till you make it where you're lying to yourself. This is using actual neuroscience to work with your body instead of against it. Now I know some of you are thinking, but fear and excitement feel completely different to me. And I hear you. We're going to address that and what to do about it. But first, you need to understand why everything you've been told about managing fear is wrong. Why calm down never works. You've probably been told your whole life that when you're afraid, you should just calm down or think positive thoughts or take deep breaths and relax. And it doesn't work, does it? There's a scientific reason why, and it has to do with something called arousal states. When you're afraid, your body is in a high arousal state. Your nervous system is jacked up, alert, ready for action, every system firing. When you're calm, your body is in a low arousal state. Relaxed, slow heartbeat, everything chill and peaceful. Here's the problem. Trying to go from high arousal fear to low arousal calm is like trying to stop a speeding train by throwing a rock at it. The train is going too fast, it has too much momentum, and your little rock isn't going to do anything except maybe cause a derailment. Research actually proves this. Studies show that trying to ignore your fears or suppress them makes them worse, not better. And positive thinking alone without any action can backfire and increase your anxiety because you're creating this gap between how you feel and how you think you should feel. Why doesn't any of this work? Because you're fighting against your biology instead of working with it. Your body has already decided it's time for high arousal. You can't force it back down in the moment. So here's the better approach, the approach that actually works. Instead of trying to calm down and go to low arousal, we're going to stay in that high arousal state, but change the label from fear to excitement. You're not fighting your body, you're redirecting it. You're taking that energy and pointing it in a different direction. The 3-step technique. Okay, now let me give you the actual technique. It has 3 parts: interrupt, anchor, reframe. Let me walk you through each one step by step. Step 1 is what's called the 5-second rule, and this is the interrupt. When you feel fear rising in your body, immediately count backwards out loud if possible, or in your head if you're in public. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's it, just 5 seconds. This might seem too simple to work, but here's the science behind it. Counting backwards activates your prefrontal cortex, which is the logical decision-making part of your brain. This interrupts the fear pattern that's coming from your amygdala, which is the emotional, reactive part of your brain. It's like hitting a pause button on your fear response and telling your brain, wait, I'm in control here, not you. Your brain can only have one linear thought at a time, so when you force it to count backwards, it has to stop thinking about all the terrible things that might happen. Two critical things here. Don't count up like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because that's too automatic. Your brain can do that on autopilot. Counting down requires actual cognitive effort. And don't skip this step thinking you'll just jump straight to positive thinking. The interrupt is essential. Without it, your fear pattern is already running and you can't redirect it. Step 2 is the anchor thought, and this is where you redirect your focus. Immediately after you count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you insert a specific positive thought or image related to what you're about to do. This is called an anchor thought because it anchors you in place so you don't spiral into full panic mode. But here's the key that most people miss. Your anchor thought must make sense in context. Your brain won't buy a random happy thought that has nothing to do with the situation. For example, if you're afraid of flying to visit your family, picture yourself hugging your family at the airport or walking on the beach with them at your destination. If you're nervous about giving a presentation, picture the moment after when you're done and you feel relieved and proud. Or picture someone in the audience whose life might be changed by your message. If you're anxious about a job interview, imagine getting the phone call that you got the job and how excited you'll feel. Why does context matter so much? Because your brain needs a logical reason why your body is so amped up. If the thought connects directly to the situation you're in, your brain accepts it and goes, oh, that makes sense. If it's random, like thinking about puppies when you're about to give a speech, your brain rejects it because there's no logical connection. Here's how to create your anchor thought. In advance, before the situation, if you have time, pick your anchor thought in advance. Make it vivid and specific. Use sensory details. What do you see? What do you hear? How do you feel physically and emotionally? The more specific and detailed your anchor thought is, the better your brain will latch onto it and believe it. Step 3 is the reframe, and this is where you explicitly relabel what you're feeling. After the countdown and the anchor thought, say to yourself out loud or internally, I'm excited. Not, I'm trying to be excited, or I hope I get excited. Say, I am excited, as a statement of fact. Why does this work? Remember, your body is already in an excited state physiologically. The physical arousal is identical. You're just giving it the correct label. Your brain goes, oh, that's why my heart is racing and I'm sweating. I'm excited about this anchor thought I'm picturing. That makes total sense. You've tricked your brain, but in a way that's completely congruent with physical reality. Let me give you the full sequence with an example so you can see how it works. Let's say you're about to give a speech and you feel your heart starting to race. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's the interrupt. Then immediately picture the audience clapping at the end or someone coming up to thank you afterward for your message. That's the anchor. Then say to yourself, I'm excited to share this message with these people. That's the reframe. The whole thing takes 10 seconds total, and it can completely change your state. When this doesn't work. Now, I need to be really honest with you about something. This technique is powerful, and it works for millions of people, but it's not magic, and it doesn't work for everything. There are specific situations where this won't help, and you need to know what those are so you don't blame yourself if the technique fails. First, if you have panic disorder or clinically diagnosed anxiety disorder, chronic anxiety needs professional support. This is a tool in your toolbox, not a cure for a clinical condition. Second, if your fear comes from trauma, from PTSD or past abuse, reframing alone isn't enough. Trauma lives in your nervous system in a different way, and this method might not be the best. Third, nighttime anxiety, or anxiety that wakes you up at 3 a.m. One of my friends said, I wake up at 3 a.m. with a panic attack, and I tell myself I'm excited, but that feels ridiculous because there's nothing happening. And they're absolutely right. There's no contextual event at 3 a.m. to be excited about. For nighttime anxiety, you need different tools. Focus on grounding techniques, breathing exercises that calm your nervous system, and you could work with a therapist to address why your nervous system is activating at night.
Let me zoom out for a second and talk about what fear actually is and what it isn't. Fear is not always the enemy. Sometimes fear is giving you genuinely useful information. If you're afraid of a legitimately dangerous situation, like someone threatening you or a truly risky activity you're not prepared for, listen to that fear. But most of the fear that runs our lives isn't about real danger. It's about growth, change, and stepping outside our comfort zone. That's the fear worth reframing. Here's the paradox of control. You cannot control whether you feel afraid. The arousal response happens automatically in your nervous system, but you can always control what you think next and what you do next. That's where your actual power lives. Not in eliminating fear, but in directing it. Think about what fear has stopped you from doing in your life. Jobs you didn't apply for because you were afraid of rejection. Relationships you didn't pursue because you were afraid of vulnerability. Experiences you avoided because you were afraid of looking stupid or failing. This one technique, 5 seconds for a countdown, one contextual anchor thought, one reframe to excitement, can unlock all of that. Not because it makes you fearless, but because it makes you capable of acting despite the fear. When you start seeing butterflies in your stomach as excitement instead of warning signs, everything changes. That presentation stops being a threat and becomes an opportunity to share something you care about. That flight stops being a danger and becomes an adventure to somewhere you actually want to go. Your body is already giving you the energy. The adrenaline is already there. Now you just get to decide what to do with it.